If you grew up in the 90s, your house had one phone, not one per person, one for everyone. When it rang, the whole house heard it. Someone yelled from another room. Someone else ran to grab it. And if you were a kid, answering it felt serious, like you were stepping into something meant for adults. You never knew who was calling. There was no name on a screen, no warning, just ringing, filling the house until someone picked it up. Calling a friend meant calling their house. You spoke to parents first, suddenly polite, suddenly careful. You stood there holding the phone, waiting, hoping they were home. If the line was busy, that was it. You hung up, you waited, you tried again later. The cord stretched farther than it was supposed to, pulled tight around corners for a little privacy that never really existed. And if your family had an answering machine, that blinking light felt important, like it might be holding something that mattered. Then the internet arrived. That screeching sound announced itself to the entire house, and with it came rules. Don't touch the phone. Don't mess it up. Don't accidentally disconnect someone. That phone wasn't just a device. It quietly controlled how connected everyone in the house could be. And that was just normal. And once you remember that phone, the rest of the house comes back with it. The living room was arranged around the TV like it was a fireplace. A big entertainment center held everything that mattered. VHS tapes stacked inside plastic clamshell cases. Game consoles with cords stretched across the floor. There was a remote that was always missing. And a VCR clock, blinking 12 o'clock because nobody ever fixed it. Watching the TV wasn't a solo activity. You watched what was on. If you wanted something specific, you waited for it. And if you missed it, you missed it. Saturday morning cartoons felt like a weekly event. You woke up early without being asked. You poured cereal. You claimed your spot before anyone tried to change the channel. Later in the day, MTV played in the background, not because you chose it, but because it was just there, making the room feel connected to something bigger. Movie nights had rules. Open the case carefully. Rewind the tape. Don't scratch it. If it came from Blockbuster, there was pressure. Late fees felt personal. If you played video games in the living room, you remember sitting way too close to the TV because you swore it helped. Blowing into cartridges like it was real science. Controller cords getting yanked mid-game. Arguments loud enough to reach the kitchen. At night, the living room softened. Lamps on. TV glow on the walls. Falling asleep on the couch and waking up half covered by a blanket. Listening to adult voices from a late-night show you were not supposed to be watching. And when the TV went off, the house didn't stop. It shifted rooms. The kitchen was where the day ran. That phone usually lived there, on the counter or on the wall. Nearby, the fridge was covered in paper. School forms, picture day reminders, appointment cards, magnets from vacations you barely remembered but never threw away. Every kitchen had a junk drawer, batteries that might still work, rubber bands, tape with the end stuck to itself, old takeout menus, a key nobody recognized but nobody wanted to throw away. After school, you wandered in like something new might appear. Cabinets opened and closed, pantry checked twice. If it was a good week, there were fruit snacks or microwave popcorn. If it wasn't, you stared at an apple like it personally offended you. The kitchen had a soundtrack, ice clinking in glasses, cabinet doors, the microwave beep, a radio playing quietly while someone cooked dinner. It wasn't glamorous, but it held the day together. And somewhere beyond the kitchen was your room. Your room was your private world. Posters taped to the wall, corners curling no matter how many times you pressed them flat. Bands, athletes, movie characters frozen in time. Music stacked in plastic cases that cracked if you dropped them. If you had a Discman, you learned how to sit perfectly still. Move too much, and the song skipped. Walk too fast, and it skipped. You adjusted your body to protect the music. Notebooks were everywhere. Lyrics copied by hand. Doodles in the margins. Notes folded into sharp little shapes and tucked away. Maybe a diary with a tiny lock that didn't really lock, but still made it feel off limits. The floor told the truth. Clothes that were not clean, not dirty. A backpack dumped open with wrinkled papers and a pencil that lost its eraser weeks ago. A Game Boy you had to tilt toward the light just to see. Your room was where you practiced being yourself quietly. No audience, no comments. Just you and the version of yourself you were still figuring out. Homework happened wherever there was light. Kitchen tables, dining tables, living room floors. It was paper. Trapper keepers snapping shut. Spiral notebooks with peeling covers. Worksheets wrinkled at the corners. Erasers leaving pink crumbs everywhere. If you had to look something up, you used what you had. Encyclopedias. Encarta, if you were lucky. Research was slower. You flipped pages. You guessed a little. You made it sound confident. Typing a report meant listening to the printer think about each line before committing. Projects meant scissors and glue sticks and that faint chemical smell on your fingers. You didn't upload assignments. You carried them. Weekends had their own rhythm. Some Saturdays started with the vacuum, loud enough to announce that your plans were over. Cleaning days meant laundry baskets too big for you, matching socks that never matched, and shoving things into closets before anyone noticed. And nothing changed the mood faster than the words, "We're having company." Suddenly, the house turned into a showroom. The good towels came out. The bathroom had to look like nobody lived there. The living room got fixed like it was being photographed. Then the doorbell rang, and you became polite on command. Summer days sounded different. Windows open, fans humming. A radio playing whatever station always played. You recorded songs off the radio, finger hovering over the record button, praying the DJ stayed quiet. Catching a song clean felt like winning something. Boredom was normal, and somehow, that made everything feel more yours. You yelled where you were going. Parents answered from another room. Be back for dinner. Streetlights meant home. There was trust built into the routine. And all around the house were objects that feel like timestamps now. A beige computer in a shared space. A mouse with a rubber ball you had to clean. A keyboard loud enough to announce every thought. AOL trial CDs that never stopped showing up. Phone books thick enough to sit on. Drawers full of remotes. Cords nobody threw away, because you did not throw cords away back then. VHS tapes with handwritten labels. Disposable cameras saved for birthdays and vacations. Waiting weeks to see photos you would already have half forgotten. Even snacks felt like proof. Fruit snacks traded like currency. Capri Suns were stabbed the wrong way half the time. The pantry filled with whatever your family considered normal. And that's the thing. The 90s weren't defined by big moments. They lived in small details. A phone that rang without telling you who it was. A VCR clock blinking forever. Posters curling on the wall. Music that skipped if you moved the wrong way. Not a headline. A feeling. And when people say they miss the 90s, they're usually not talking about the decade itself. They're talking about how life felt. Physical. Shared. Grounded. A home in the 90s wasn't perfect. But it was steady. It was full of real objects, real routines, and small moments that didn't feel important at the time, but stayed with you anyway. And if this brought back a memory you haven't thought about in years, you're definitely not the only one. Maybe it was that one phone in the house, or the VCR clock that never stopped blinking, or sitting too close to the TV on Saturday mornings, or stretching the phone cord into the hallway for a little privacy. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear it. Drop one small memory from growing up in the 90s in the comments. Just one thing that instantly takes you back. And if you want more stories like this, more everyday moments from growing up in the 90s, feel free to subscribe. There's a lot more of that world still waiting to be remembered.